West Ham United have caught the eye of US investment company 777 Partners. Normally when there's rumours such as this, they can pretty much be dismissed. A lot of them are quite generic and quite vague. But sometimes there's enough information there where you can look at it and start to pick it apart and notice there might just be some truth to it. The reason for the validity of these particular claims from 777 Partners is that we already have established some facts, and that is that they want to buy a Premier League club. We know this not just because they say it, but they've been trying to do so probably for the past 6 months. They have been trying to buy Everton Football Club. They've been in advanced talks with Fahad Mashiri, who is, of course, the major shareholder at Everton, and they were looking really set for a takeover. What 77 Partners wanted to do, though, was wait until the end of the season, just because they wanted to know whether or not Everton were going to be a Premier League club. You'd probably consider that to be reasonable. I absolutely get it. Why would you pay 600 million, which was rumoured to be roughly the agreed fee for Everton? Why would you pay £600 million for a Premier League club but pay the same amount for a Championship club? You just wouldn't. Anyway, as it happens, Fahad Mashiri at Everton didn't appear to be too chuffed with this. Another US investment company came in and they said to him, do you know what, we're willing to buy the club irrespective of what division they're in. At that point, Mashiri, I think he said, well, they were going to be the preferred bidder, and where they stand at this time is I think they've entered into a non-disclosure agreement. They've started to head a little way down that path of takeover of the club. Everton fans will, of course, be chuffed with that. But where does that leave 777 Partners? Well, it appears it leaves them wanting a Premier League football club. And this is where I get very worried for West Ham. Because it's the Mail Online reporting this, and you have to believe what they're saying, because I've done my research on this and they were all over the story about them being involved with Everton. It's quite clear to me that 77 Partners are briefing the Mail Online, Daily Mail, whatever you want to call it. So they've got their ear quite close to the door in terms of listening to the proceedings of what's going on there. And the Mail are saying they want a Premier League club. That worries me. That worries me an awful lot. Also, it does reflect a mirror what we know, which is what they were saying to Everton, is we only want you if indeed you are a Premier League club. The trouble is they want either West Ham United or Sheffield United. And that really worries me, because I don't want someone to want West Ham just because they want a Premier League club. I want somebody to want West Ham because they want West Ham. Also, whoever takes over West Ham is going to have to understand the nuances of what goes on at the club. Not just the history and all that stuff, but the more recent history. Look, say what you want about Pi Capital. They absolutely understood the situation with the stadium. I didn't want them to take over. I thought it was a little bit of an amateurish takeover attempt, a botched takeover attempt in many respects. Well, it failed. It was a failed takeover attempt, wasn't it? But we know, because they tried to start negotiating with the LLDC for the stadium, that they understood the complexities of the whole issue and surrounding West Ham and surrounding that real estate that surrounds the stadium. They understood the complexities of it. Somebody who actually did want Everton, but actually they got kicked out of negotiations of Everton because they weren't quite ready to commit to it, who's now looking around thinking, do you know what? I quite fancy a Premier League club. What about those ones that play in that claret and blue, or maybe the red and white striped team? Come on, the report doesn't read fantastically well, and it's 777 Partners want a Premier League club to add to their portfolio. Man, that sounds crap. That sounds absolutely awful. Does that make you feel special? No, and nor should it. And I'll tell you why. Let me just read you a list of 77 Partners clubs. They've got quite a few. I'm just going to read through them here. 77 Partners own Genoa, Standard Liège, Red Star FC, Vasco da Gama, part ownership in Sevilla, Melbourne Victory. Anyway, those are the football clubs. They've also got big shares in the British Basketball League, the London Lions, who I assume are a basketball team. But it's not just that. Here is what 77 Partners it says they're basically an investment company. They're founded in Miami in 2015, and it focuses on 7 core industries. What? I don't want someone taking over West Ham focusing on 7 core industries. That's insurance, aviation, sports, media and entertainment, tech, litigation finance, and private credit. I mean, talk about spread yourself thin. That's absolutely fine. If you're an investment company, that's fine. They pride themselves on investing their own money and basically getting a return on it. Wow. I mean, it certainly doesn't fill you with joy, and I wouldn't even be doing a video on this if I didn't think that there was a serious bidder out there. They've clearly got some money because they've got assets. They've got £12 billion worth of assets. Doesn't mean they've got £12 billion to spend, but that's what they've got. If you had all that aviation stuff, all that insurance stuff, all the sports franchises, all that stuff that they've got, and you add it all together, then they've got £12 billion worth of assets. But with what we do know, there's one thing we definitely know, and that is that they have £600 million to spend on a football club, and that scares the hell out of me. Because as I just said, I don't want that in a football club. I don't want that in anything. I would expect anybody that goes to buy anything to actually have their eye on one particular thing. You don't go out and buy a car and think, you know what, any car will do. You have your eye on that precise one that you want, that precise model. You know why? You do your research, you find out everything about it. You don't just go, anything with 4 wheels will do. I just want to add another car to my collection. That's what it sounds like here. And I don't like it at all because, I mean, I look at Liverpool at the moment. Not just because they had an 8-goal thriller against Southampton. I think Jurgen Klopp, I know he's not the most popular man in the world, granted, but when you look at the budget that he's had to spend at Liverpool, I'm talking about net spend, the net spend, what he's had to bring in and what he's had to spend, it's not comparable with any of the others. Basically, he's had to do it with one arm tied behind his back, and he's won a league title in the Champions League. I think he did really well to do that, by the way. The reason for that is the Fenway Group. The Fenway Group, who are another investment company, granted, I don't think they have the level of investment that 777 Partners do, but hey, look, they've spread themselves very, very thin, and it's quite clear. Liverpool is an investment. They weren't ever going to go and pump a load of their own money into Liverpool. Now, I'm not totally naive. I don't expect anybody to come and pump all of their money into West Ham. I think that's very rare. Man City, Chelsea. I mean, I think Newcastle will, but it's still hard to make the case that they've pumped a load of money into it yet because, because basically Mike Ashley had been such a spendthrift. Sorry, not spendthrift, but it's been such a miserly, a miserly owner who'd made derisory offers for a load of players. He was thrifty, let's call him that. That there was the opportunity for Newcastle to spend because he'd run quite a tight ship, let's put it that way. More or less is what I'm trying to say. There's not a load of owners who are just going to come in and throw a load of money at a club. I absolutely get that. But what I do want is whoever comes in at West Ham is for us to be one of their main focuses. Look, I spoke about the Leicester people, King Power. I spoke about King Power the other day. You've got to have got your money from somewhere, right? If you've got loads of money, so clearly you're going to have that money. You've got to concentrate on your business. So King Power, for instance, they've got all the aviation business, they've got all that stuff, that's fine. But that's pretty much it. So then football is what they got aside from it. I don't want a company that's running whatever it was, however many I counted out. And what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other football teams. So they buy West Ham, they have 8 football teams on their books. And that's not including the insurance companies they're running, the airlines they're running and all the rest of it. How are we going to be remotely special? And I think even if someone doesn't plough all their money into West Ham, we do deserve to be a little bit special. I think that's fair. You look at what's going on at Man United, where you've got Sir Jim Radcliffe there. He's made his money, right? He has made his money. He is going in there now with a view, he wants to take over Man United. That much is clear. I don't think he's going to have his head turned and he's going to be looking at a load of different things. I'll tell you what would happen now. If 777 Partners took over West Ham, what they'd do is they would basically convene a board. They'd convene a board of directors, they'd put them in place, and they'd leave them alone to run West Ham. And it'd be done by committee. I don't say this with any certainty. This is just my reading of the situation. If I'm wrong, I'd love to be proven correct. If 77 Partners were serious about taking over West Ham and they say, no, actually what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to spend X, Y and Z and really help boost you up there, then absolutely fine, okay? But I think what you'd probably hear a load of corporate talk. I think you'd hear some words that might sound promising but would probably be quite hollow. Things like, well, of course we're going to invest in the squad, but I will tell you this now. Fenway Group would have said, well, of course we're going to invest in the squad. In fact, they could probably say, actually, we did invest in the squad. And so they did. But comparatively, compared to everybody else, they didn't. They didn't get near Arsenal spend. They didn't get near Man United spend. They didn't get anywhere near Chelsea spend. They certainly didn't get anywhere near Manchester City spend. Realistically, that's what I'm saying. They did really well to get to where they are. I don't even think they spent as much as Tottenham, for goodness sake. And this is the problem you're going to have. And I do worry about these investment companies. I've read quite a lot. They've got a statement. They've got a statement that's all on their website, very, very touchy-feely about their what they call their partners and their approach to doing business. And they seem to get quite spiky at being called a hedge fund. And they don't want. There's a number of names they don't want to be called, but it is undoubtedly investments. It really is. They're trying to make an investment. They would be coming in to invest in West Ham with a view to making us more profitable, making us worth more money, so as they could basically claw something back on their investment. Now, of course, 77 Partners or anybody else would argue, well, hold on a second. If we are going to invest, what would be the point in us not keeping West Ham healthy? And I would totally get that, but it definitely requires expertise. It definitely requires your eye on the ball. And it requires focus. And we are in a stage at the moment with West Ham where we don't really know what's going on because of, obviously, what's happened with David Gold, because of Kretinsky having in some shares. We've now reached past the embarrassment clause point in the club whereby they can sell, when I say they, I mean David Sullivan can sell his shares without penalty, without incurring any fine. We're ripe for sale. We really are. And what is clear is we are a club that's ready for sale. And there are, and I hate to say this, investors out there. I don't want investors, I want buyers. I want someone like Sir Jim Radcliffe, not Sir Jim Radcliffe himself, but somebody like that, somebody who's earned his money, whose company has run itself quite nicely, and actually quite fancies getting involved in football because he has a love of football. I have no problem. That would be great for Man United to get that guy. He loves football. He's a Man United fan, apparently. Good. Good for him. Good for them. At least you would know that. This group here, Miami-based investment company, they don't care whether it's... They don't care whether it's Genoa, Standard Liège, Red Star, Vasco da Gama or Sevilla. And I tell you what is even more clear, they don't care whether it's Everton, Sheffield United or West Ham United. They just want a Premier League club. Any Premier League club will do. So that, from me, that's a big no-no.